Question is that the bill be now read a second time. Mr. Ang Hin Kee.
Mr. Speaker, in Mandarin, please. 6年前 ，Grab 和 Uber 带来了科技，颠覆了本地的德式市场。当时我们的德式师傅都非常担心，不晓得是否会被淘汰，为了每日的生计而发愁。相反的，其他国家的德式师傅和业者也都在想方设法，阻止私造车在他们本地落地生根。有些甚至跟私造车司机们起冲突，到街上游行抗议，根本没有想到能够有共同存在的空间。唯一的一个选择就是抗争。跟他们比较，我们的德式师傅虽然也非常焦虑，但并没有制造纠纷，扰乱社会的秩序。相反的，他们做出了很大的努力，学着去适应，探讨如何利用新科技。这就是我们新加坡独有的特征。一切得来不容易，希望大家要珍惜。今天，我们能够在一个非常平静的环境下讨论点对点的立法来辩论，其中非常重要的功臣就是我们的德式师傅们。他们很有耐性，并冷静地看待市场的变化，应对挑战。也相信大家在国会的同僚们会为德式师傅们提供妥善的安排。我们看到很多行业通过新科技以及上亿元的资金和数码经济所带来的无数的新契机，但要成功，更重要的是我们公有的心态。而我们的德式师傅们就表现了韧性，他们挑战新事物，不畏科技，从中学习，善于利用。这是我们值得鼓舞的，也是为什么新加坡会成功。议长先生，今天在场旁听的也有我们的德式师傅们，他们是第一次到国会来旁听国会的辩论。我希望大家在接下来的辩论的内容里面，会给他们一个正面的反应，跟给他们适当的鼓励。Mr. Speaker, sir, the first ride-hail operator I met was about 6 years ago in Singapore. The company was called Halo. Subsequently, many came and left, even as I participated in many debates about its impact. Fast forward to today, we have over 40,000 private hire and 100,000 taxi drivers in Singapore. Together, they serve over 1.2 million daily trips, up from when we had only taxis which serve 1 million trips a day. Indeed, many livelihood and commuter convenience are dependent on how the industry operates and how the LTA regulate the sector. Once this regulation of point-to-point is in place, I hope it will lead to fair competition among the various types of point-to-point operators and ensure greater accountability to our drivers and commuters. Who can be an operator moving forward? Currently, as we heard from SMS Janil, that only taxi operators are subjected to regulatory control, and we have previously called for, and I'm glad the LTA will now regulate the private hire operators as well. Back when Uber suddenly left Singapore a year plus ago, many felt that the way these ride-hailing firms operate made it very easy for them to exit. And it also left drivers, commuters, and their employees in a lurch. Nobody knew what happened because overnight they closed their office and all the senior management exited Singapore. To avoid such negative outcomes, all street-hailing service and ride-hailing service operators should comply with the tripartite standards in managing self-employed persons. In some cities, Mr. Speaker, regulators have considered treating these drivers as employees because, truth be told, many of them are tied to employees-like requirements. But I believe Singapore again has a better solution, in that the tripartite standard set forth by the Ministry of Manpower is a better option. Today, many operators continue to unilaterally suspend drivers or offer contracts that says more about the obligation of drivers than what the obligation of the operators are. Indeed, fair and reasonable terms should be the norm of contracts moving forward. Fortunately, our operators have also supported good schemes. There is the Enhanced Drive and Save MediSave co-contribution scheme offered by taxi operators together with the National Taxi Association for taxi drivers. There is also the free insurance offered by Grab and Gojek with the National Private Hire Vehicle Association to help drivers manage loss of income due to prolonged illness. These are good measures and show that our operators are indeed responsible ones. Notwithstanding these initiatives, we recommend that all operators comply with the tripartite standards as part of the licensing requirement. This will not create new burden on the existing operators because they are already currently doing many of these good things. But we also want to ensure that new operators coming to Singapore in future comply with these same types of good practices. Who can be a driver? Currently, to qualify as a private hire driver, you only need to have 2 years of driving experience. So technically, at age 20, you can be a private hire driver. In comparison, to drive a taxi, you need to be at least 30 years old and above. The argument that ride-hailing caters to part-timers and those who avail their vehicles in a shared economy do not quite reflect reality. Instead, we have seen a surge in bidding of new cars by leasing companies and many drivers becoming full-time drivers, full-time vocational drivers. Do we really want to see more young drivers doing this on a full-time basis, foregoing the opportunity to delve into a career, enlarging their skill set, and going professional in the work they do, or to take a low entry barrier job like vocational drivers? Currently, we have 20,000 taxis, 45,000 private hire cars, plus 140,000 vocational drivers. The demand for such rides have slowed down since the exit of Uber. I recommend that all new applicants for private hire driver vocation license to be similar as taxis, and that they all be at least 30 years old and above, and for Singaporeans only. We are not short of local drivers, Mr. Speaker. What more can the LTA do? They have done quite a fair bit, but I'm glad to hear today that they will be reviewing the taxi availability framework and the quality of service standards for taxi operators. With the current fleet of private hire cars exceeding more than twice the number of taxis, I'm glad that the new standards will be reviewed and rationalized. I'm also very happy to hear that the new regulatory framework will seek to prohibit driver exclusivity arrangement by all parties. This will disallow operators to prevent their drivers from taking jobs from others and reduce the risk of market domination by the operators. I'm glad that the LTA has supported our call for this change. One last point with regards to operator is the carpool platform. The LTA also needs to pay particular attention to possible abuse on the private hire carpool platforms. These are subjected to 2 trips a day, whereby the driver is either on the way to work, to the market, or somewhere else, and he gives somebody a ride in exchange for a small fee to cover fuel or ERP costs. These drivers need not possess a vocational license. But because of no regulatory control in this market space, a driver could possibly join several platforms and take on multiple trips beyond the stipulated daily limits. This is a feedback we have heard from the taxi driver as well as the private hire drivers, that there is this potential loophole. If left unchecked, it will offer a backdoor to those who do not want to comply with the operator or driver licensing requirements. With appropriate regulatory oversight, Mr. Speaker, I hope we will be able to attract more new point-to-point operators to our local scene, drive new innovations to bring about better commuting experience for our commuters, and offer a sustainable career for our drivers. Mr. Speaker, I support the bill.